An enormous chunk of the U.S. population is either homeless, living in poverty, or considered to be among the working poor, Michael Snyder reports. As the U.S. economy slows down, those at the bottom of the economic food chain are being hit the hardest. Homelessness is surging, the number of Americans living in poverty is rising, and more Americans are considered to be among the working poor than ever before. Unfortunately, we're witnessing a historic economic shift right now, and economic conditions are only going to get even more harsh during the months ahead. Needless to say, that is really bad news for all of us. According to a report from the Harvard University, approximately 650,000 Americans were homeless at some point last year. That represented an increase of nearly 50% from 2015. A January 25 report from Harvard Joint Center for Housing Studies estimated that over 650,000 Americans experienced homelessness in 2023, up almost 50% from 2015. Costs of renting and home ownership have skyrocketed while wages largely stagnate. The Harvard report found that half of U.S. households are cost burdened, meaning that 30 to 50% of monthly income goes to housing, and 12 million people are severely cost burdened. These Americans stand one accident, health setback, or employment disruption away from eviction. During the past several years, scores of tent cities have sprouted like mushrooms in and around U.S. cities from coast to coast. One 32-year-old woman named Brandy, that's living in a tent city near Winter Haven, Florida, says that she had been living there for 5 years and literally has nowhere else to go. Deep in the woods outside of Winter Haven, Florida, are a cluster of tents and tarps. There are 46 people that live in this homeless encampment, including Brandy C., who has been there for 5 years. I just made a mistake that I've been stuck here since. I'm trying to fix it and I can't, Brandy told Scripps News Tampa. The 32-year-old said, "The homeless camp is not the safest environment, but it is somewhere she can lay her head at night. However, it could soon be taken away. They tell us y'all know y'all fixing to have to leave," Brandy said. "We're like, so where do we go?" These are the forgotten people that our politicians don't like to talk about, and their ranks are growing with each passing day. In Denver, officials have spent $274 million to fight their homelessness crisis, but the area has still added more homeless individuals than any other metro region in the country since 2018. Metro Denver's homeless crisis has worsened and become among the most acute in the nations, despite the city of Denver contracting for at least $274 million from 2021 through 2024 to keep people off the streets. The Denver metro region has added more homeless individuals than any other metro region in the country since 2018, according to key metrics collected by the federal government. Like we're seeing in so many other cities, mass migration has been playing a major role in Denver's homelessness crisis. We can't even come close to taking care of the hundreds of thousands of Americans that are already homeless, and more deeply impoverished people are constantly being allowed to pour over our borders. Meanwhile, the number of Americans that are living in poverty and the number of Americans that are considered to be among the working poor both continue to increase. As I discussed last week, more than 11% of Americans are officially impoverished, and another 29% are asset-limited, income-constrained, employed. Over the time, higher costs and sluggish wage growth have left more Americans financially vulnerable than many known as Alice's. Nearly 40 million families, or 29% of the population, that's huge, isn't it? That's almost a third of all America, fall in the category of Alice, asset-limited, income-constrained, employed, according to the United Way's United for Alice program, which first coined the term to refer to household earnings above the poverty line, but less than what's needed to get by. That figure does not include the 37.9 million Americans who live in poverty, comprising 11.5% of the total population, according to data from the U.S. Census Bureau. Do you understand what this means? More than 40% of the U.S. population is either homeless, living in poverty, or among the ranks of the working poor. That is staggering. The middle class is being absolutely eviscerated, and a lot more pain is on the way. Former Merrill Lynch chief economist David Rosenberg accurately predicted the recession that hit us in 2008, and he's now warning that things are about to get really bad in this country. In fact, even though the Biden administration is telling us that the economy added 175,000 jobs last month, he's convinced that the economy is actually bleeding jobs. The U.S. economy added 175,000 jobs last month, shy of economics forecast for 238,000. In notes to clients on Friday, the former Merrill Lynch chief economist explained why he views the numbers as a cause for concern. He said the data is inconsistent with numbers coming from the Bureau of Labor Statistics quarterly census of employment and wages and business employment dynamics database, both of which stated the economy actually lost jobs in the third quarter. Given the disparity, Rosenberg said the data is likely overstated by historical proportions. And I agree with Rosenberg. Large companies all over America have been conducting mass layoffs, and the numbers that we're getting from sources that are not controlled by the Biden administration clearly indicate that the economy is losing jobs. But I'm also convinced that our economic problems will accelerate significantly as we head towards the end of this year. A perfect storm of factors is hurting economic performance all over the world, and I anticipate that global turmoil is only going to become more intense as the months roll along. So what is the bottom line? The bottom line is that more Americans will soon be homeless, more Americans will soon be living in poverty, and more Americans will soon be among the ranks of the working poor. Our standard of living is steadily declining, and if you want someone to blame, you can blame those that are currently running the show in Washington. This is on the Economic Collapse blog by Michael Snyder. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Michael's new book entitled Chaos, available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon, and you can check out his new Substack newsletter right here. About the author, Michael Snyder, extremely controversial new book, Chaos, available in paperback and Kindle on Amazon. He's also written 7 other books available on Amazon, including End Times, 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters, Commissions Earned. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work that he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, The Most Important News, and he always freely and happily allows others to republish those articles on their own websites. You can connect with Michael on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and share his articles on your own social media accounts. It's definitely a great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.